Today, we're not just talking about ice cream. We're talking about a story that's bigger than flavors, bigger than cones and cups. This is about the heart and soul behind every scoop. The values, the dreams, and the people who made ice cream mean something more. We're talking about the soul of a brand that for decades has stood for more than just dessert. It's been a symbol of fun, activism, and a sense of belonging for millions around the world. On September 17, 2025, Jerry Greenfield, co-founder of Ben & Jerry's, announced his departure after nearly 5 decades. It was a moment that felt almost unthinkable, one of the original dreamers stepping away from the company he helped build from scratch. This wasn't a quiet retirement. It was a public stand, signaling a deep rift at the heart of a beloved company. The announcement made headlines, sparking conversations far beyond the world of ice cream. Jerry was more than a name. He was the conscience of Ben & Jerry's alongside Ben Cohen. Together, they were the moral compass, guiding the company through decades of change and challenge. Their journey from a small Vermont gas station to a global brand was built on joy, community, and a commitment to justice. They didn't just sell ice cream, they created a movement, one scoop at a time, inspiring others to believe that business could be a force for good. Jerry's resignation wasn't just business news, it was personal for fans who saw the brand as a beacon of integrity. For many, Ben & Jerry's was a reminder that companies could care, could take a stand, and could make a difference in the world. His exit forces us to ask, what happens when a mission-driven company is absorbed by a corporate giant? Can the original spirit survive, or does it get lost in the machinery of big business? These are questions that echo far beyond the ice cream aisle. The news, shared by Ben Cohen, sent shockwaves through communities that believed in Ben & Jerry's values. It was a wake-up call for those who thought the company's mission was unshakable. As we unpack this story, we'll see how a conflict over speaking out on global issues, especially Gaza, became the final straw. The struggle between staying true to your beliefs and the pressures of corporate ownership came to a head in a very public way. It's a powerful lesson in standing up for your beliefs, even if it means walking away from everything you've built. Jerry's decision challenges us all to consider what we're willing to risk for our values, and what it truly means to leave a legacy that matters. To understand Jerry's decision, let's rewind to 1978. It was a time of disco, bell-bottoms, and a burgeoning sense of possibility. Ben Cohen and Jerry Greenfield, two friends with a dream and a $5 ice cream course, opened their first scoop shop in a renovated gas station in Burlington, Vermont. They had no idea that this small venture would one day become a global phenomenon. From the start, they weren't just selling ice cream, they were building community. Their shop became a local hangout, a place where people could come together and share moments of joy. Their business philosophy was radical. Companies should serve people and the planet, not just shareholders. Free cone day, local sourcing, and a commitment to sustainable business practices set them apart from the competition. Creative flavors like Cherry Garcia and Chunky Monkey made them stand out. These unique offerings were not just about taste, they were about creating an experience. Their authenticity and commitment to social good resonated with customers tired of faceless corporations. People felt a connection to Ben & Jerry's that went beyond just ice cream. As they grew, so did their ambition to make a difference. They expanded their locations, but never lost sight of their core values. They dedicated a portion of profits to philanthropy through the Ben & Jerry's Foundation. This wasn't just a marketing ploy. It was a genuine effort to give back to the community. Social mission wasn't a side project. It was core to their identity. Employees were encouraged to participate in community service, making the company's mission a lived experience. They proved you could be successful and socially conscious. Their business model became a blueprint for others who wanted to make a positive impact while still turning a profit. Jerry's departure isn't just leaving a job, it's leaving a movement he helped start. His influence will be felt long after he's gone. That's what makes this moment so significant. It's a testament to what two friends with a dream can achieve, and a reminder that business can be a force for good. Ben & Jerry's didn't just talk about change, they made it happen. Their activism was bold, using their platform to address issues others avoided. From environmental protection to racial justice, they were pioneers of corporate activism. Campaigns like 1% for Peace and flavors supporting causes like Justice Remixed set them apart. They championed marriage equality, racial justice, and the Black Lives Matter movement, never shying away from controversy. Their statements were direct, not watered down for corporate comfort. They faced backlash but stood firm, earning loyalty from customers who valued their courage. This legacy of activism is the brand's soul. Jerry's exit signals that this soul is now at risk. The company's willingness to take risks for its principles is what made it special. That's the legacy Jerry felt was being compromised. The turning point came in 2000, when Ben & Jerry's was acquired by Unilever. Fans and founders alike worried. Could a global giant preserve the brand's activist spirit? To protect their mission, Ben & Jerry negotiated a unique merger. An independent board would oversee the social mission. For years, this arrangement worked, but cracks appeared as Unilever controlled finances and operations. Tension grew. What happens when social mission clashes with profit? The independent board's power was supposed to be a shield, but it became a cage. Unilever's focus on shareholders clashed with Ben & Jerry's commitment to justice. The two worlds were bound to collide. The conflict wasn't about one issue, it was about the very purpose of business. Is it profit or a higher obligation to advocate for justice? The simmering tension exploded over Ben & Jerry's stance on the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. What began as a simple business decision quickly spiraled into a global controversy, drawing attention from activists, politicians, and consumers alike. In 2021, the independent board announced they'd stop selling ice cream in the Israeli-occupied West Bank, calling it inconsistent with their values. This decision was rooted in the company's long-standing commitment to social justice and human rights, principles that have defined the brand since its inception. They clarified, this wasn't a boycott of Israel, but a stand against occupation. The company emphasized that their actions were aimed at promoting peace and justice, not targeting any specific nation or people. The backlash was immediate: accusations of anti-Semitism, political pressure, and calls for boycotts. Social media erupted with heated debates, and news outlets around the world covered the unfolding drama. Unilever tried to distance itself, but the public rift exposed the merger's flaws. The parent company found itself in a precarious position, balancing corporate interests with the ethical stance of its subsidiary. As the Gaza crisis deepened, Ben & Jerry's called for a ceasefire, using language few companies dared. Their bold stance highlighted the severity of the situation and the urgent need for peace. This put them at odds with Unilever and the U.S. government. The tension between corporate policy and moral conviction became increasingly apparent. For Unilever, the activism was a liability. For Ben & Jerry's, silence was betrayal. The company's founders believed that staying silent in the face of injustice was not an option. The fight over Gaza became a symbol of the brand's struggle for its soul. It was a tug-of-war between maintaining corporate harmony and upholding the ethical values that Ben & Jerry's was built upon. The line was drawn: corporate compliance or moral conviction. The decision would have far-reaching implications for the brand's identity and its relationship with consumers. Jerry Greenfield faced an impossible choice. The co-founder had to weigh the company's legacy against the immediate pressures from stakeholders and the broader public. The company's right to speak out was under threat. Legal battles and public opinion wars loomed large, challenging the very essence of what Ben & Jerry's stood for. This was the breaking point. The conflict over Gaza not only tested the company's principles, but also its resilience in the face of overwhelming adversity. On September 17, 2025, Jerry Greenfield made the hardest decision of his life. He resigned. In his statement, Jerry accused Unilever of silencing the brand's voice and undermining its mission. He said he could no longer stay and watch the company's integrity erode. His resignation was a public act of protest, not just a personal exit. Jerry called out the urgent need to stand for justice, especially as fundamental rights are threatened. With his departure, the last link to the founders was broken. It marked the end of an era and raised the question, can a company built on ideals survive inside a corporate machine? Jerry's act was both heartbreaking and brave. Unilever, cast as the villain, offered its own perspective. Through a spokesperson, they disagreed with Jerry's portrayal, insisting they sought constructive dialogue. Unilever claimed they weren't silencing the founders, but managing a complex, high-risk situation. They emphasized their responsibility to shareholders and global stability. From their view, Ben & Jerry's activism threatened the broader business. But to fans and founders, Constructive conversations sounded like corporate code for tone it down. The gap between business risk and moral conviction had never been wider. Jerry's resignation was the latest chapter in a bitter struggle for control. The conflict escalated when Unilever sold the Israeli business to a local licensee, bypassing the independent board's decision. The board sued Unilever, claiming the move violated the merger agreement. Ben and Jerry tried to buy the company back, assembling investors and making a formal offer. Unilever rejected both the buyout and the idea of spinning off Ben and Jerry's as an independent company. With options exhausted, Jerry walked away. The legal and public battles left the brand's soul hanging in the balance. The fight for Ben and Jerry's identity was far from over. Why does Jerry Greenfield's resignation matter? Because it's about more than ice cream. It's about the courage to stand for something when the world demands conformity. Jerry's exit is a reminder that a company can be an extension of its founders' values. Ben & Jerry's has always put its reputation on the line for justice. Their story challenges us to think about the companies we support. Are their values real or just marketing? The loyalty of Ben & Jerry's fans shows the power of a principled stand. When the brand speaks out, it speaks for its community. Jerry's final act was not defeat, but defiance, amplifying the call for corporate responsibility. His legacy lives on in the idea that business can and should be a force for good. That's the true spirit of Ben & Jerry's.